Hi, I'm Rick Hedeman with RSA, the security division of EMC, and we've been talking about Netwitness here. In video 1, we talked a little bit about why Netwitness is important now. In video 2, I talked a little bit about the architecture behind Netwitness. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about how users would interact with Netwitness and how they would get value out of the information that Netwitness records. And they would do that through the applications that we discussed in the architecture discussion. So let's take a couple of use cases here. First use case might be, this is a pretty typical use case. You've got an executive gives IT a call and says, you know, my PC's running a little bit slowly. Don't know what's going on. You know, maybe my daughter was using it over the weekend. And so IT comes in, does a scan of the PC, and everything looks clean. The PC's not running slowly anymore, and so, you know, give it back to the executive and off they go. But if you're an IT person, you know that scrubbing malware off of a PC is not always 100% accurate. In fact, in a lot of cases, it's very difficult to do. So rather than reflash the image back on the PC, you know, clearly the CEO is not interested in doing that. But suppose that you had captured all the network traffic from that PC within the corporate environment, and you've done a malware analysis on any executables that were downloaded to that PC, you know, over the last couple of weeks. Spectrum does that automatic malware analysis and can alert you if you are so inclined, but you can also go through that and determine whether or not there was indeed some malware downloaded to that PC. And in fact, you know, because we're capturing all that information, we can see if there are other hosts internal to the organization getting out to the internet that PC actually reached out to. So that's one use case where Spectrum providing sort of automated malware analysis could aid an analyst in understanding what the real risks are associated with this. So a second scenario might go something like the following. Informer enables an analyst to do alerts and notifications, and we may have a policy that says, you know, we really don't expect encrypted traffic going out on non-standard ports to, you know, third world countries or countries, you know, they're on sort of suspect lists. So perhaps we've set up an alert whenever we see encrypted traffic going out on a non-standard port, we get an alert. So that trips an alert to us, which enables an analyst to go back and say, well, it's interesting, from this particular host, we see encrypted traffic exfiltrating out of our network. It's going to, you know, a country that is on the suspect list. We can't see it because it's encrypted, but we also notice that there's other traffic going on around that host, say unencrypted traffic to command and control hosts, or other unencrypted traffic where they're exfiltrating, say, documents or something like that. That should raise the red flag, and given what Netwitness actually records, we're able to go back and pull down that entire encrypted stream. Now, given the tools that are available for host investigation, it's very possible that we can pull the private key out of that host and then decrypt that encrypted stream and actually detect what was exfiltrated. So the example there might be, well, let's say that customer data was exfiltrated. Privacy regulations these days require companies to notify on breaches of, you know, over certain numbers of customers. If you knew what customers were exfiltrated, and maybe it's just a fraction of the total customer base you've got, or you could definitively say that there was no customer traffic that had been exfiltrated in this way, shape, or form, you could reduce your exposure and clearly the expense associated with that. So those are a couple of sort of use case scenarios where understanding and having the ability to go back through the history of network traffic and get the context around the activity that you're seeing on your devices allows you to piece together and ask questions that without that information is extremely time-consuming to pull together, and very difficult for an analyst to be able to do, if they can do it at all. So if you look at the value proposition of a NetWitness, it's really in making the analyst much more effective at what they do. They can respond in a much more timely manner. If you think about, historically we talked about protecting things, now we're talking about protecting but also detecting and correcting. But the window of opportunity that you have to work within really means that you need effective people on the ground. And a NetWitness gives your analysts the ability, essentially gives your introductory analysts the ability to be intermediate analysts, and your intermediate analysts to be the rock stars in your organization. So very powerful capabilities, that corporations these days really have to start looking at, because it's no longer protect and you'll be protected. So I hope that's helpful, understanding what NetWitness's capabilities are, what some of the architecture looks like, and how our customers are using it today. The target customers that we look at for this kind of solution are really, highly regulated kinds of customers, federal customers, governments, critical infrastructure kinds of companies. Those companies that you think, well, it's really valuable, but it's so valuable that we really can't afford to lose information or to have compromised systems. So I hope that's helpful. If you have questions, please reach out to your EMC Alliance's contact. Thanks.